Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tyler, and welcome to Tyler Talks with Tyler Williams. Yes, this is a podcast I have done yesterday with Franklin Zamora, which is a great episode. Nice guy. Asked him a few questions that he followed through with them. At the end, the really through, and we learned a couple things about him. Learned a couple things about me too. So, yeah, I am going to be here with Arizona Poe Hunicutt in just a few moments. Well, before that, I'm just going to update you guys on the current Extreme Rules map card because I have not posted it to AWC just yet. If you're not part of AWC, then I haven't. If you're not part of AWC, then I have no idea how you're watching this. But AWC is a wrestling group where this place originates from. And I have not necessarily posted the match card for Extreme Rules yet. So I think I'm about to announce it right here, right now. We have A Star versus Jack versus Adam Balaz versus TRG Marvel versus Alejandro Leva versus Jay Blaze in a Money in the Bank ladder match for a qualifying match for any minor title that they want. That can be the Limitless Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, or the African Championship. We're gonna have after that is A Star versus Brian King in a tables match for the AWC Intercontinental Championship. Should be interesting. A six-pack Divas challenge for the AWC Divas Championship. Now, a couple people are wondering how that works, and that would basically all six Divas start off in the ring and they pin each other until there's only one Diva left. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Then we have the Shadows of Salvation versus the Mohicans in a tag team Extreme Rules match for the AWC Tag Team Championships. Then we have Anarchist versus Alex Gonzalez versus Hardcore Blade versus Christian Rady in a Fatal 4-Way Hell in a Cell match for the AWC X Division Championship. And then we have the main event of the evening: Curtis Strong versus DC Zam Jam versus Jin Kazi versus. We still don't know who the opponent is just yet. We're gonna have these four men face off for the AWC Undisputed World Championship in a Fatal 4-Way Extreme Rules match. We will find out who the opponent is this week on Monday Night Brawl. And as I'm speaking, I'm inviting Arizona Pro Hunicutt to the conversation right now. Yeah, I'm still here, ladies and gentlemen. Just make sure I'm inviting him. And I think he forgot to give me his Gmail. So while I'm waiting for him to text me back, we can just tell him thoughts we still right now. So right now, I think everything's going well. And my weekends are going well so far. I mean, my weekends are kind of cluttered with AWC as of right now because I was recording Monday Night Brawl, Tuesday Night Turbo, and Extreme Rules a week early, as I will be going away next week. Next week, I will be looking for a suit for my senior prom, so I will not be able to record Extreme Rules. Thus, I have to record it this weekend. And if I record that this weekend, I'd have to record everything else this weekend as well. Monday Night Brawl, Tuesday Night Turbo. So that's why I'm at the recording. I just got finished recording Tuesday Night Turbo, and then tomorrow Darren's gonna come over to my house, and we are going to record Extreme Rules. So yes, the whole week I'm basically gonna know what happens between the whole week. I'm gonna know what happens, and I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and not say anything. And Darren will have to keep his mouth shut and not say anything either. And he's been doing pretty well with that. And I'm gonna lie, not like he blabbers on to tell anybody about anything. So yeah. We're also closing in on the end of April. We're in mid-April right now. April 19th will be pretty much the end of April. And that week is also my birth week. Happy birthday to moi. My birthday will be on Thursday. And I also just found out that Alejandro Leva's birthday will be on the 2 days before mine on April 21st. That is also my stepmother's birthday. So, here's y'all. It's her birthday. I'm gonna leave a link in the description down below of what time you guys should skip to what, because it looks like Arizona's not responding to my message. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. So, yeah. Mhm. So what's going on with you guys right now? While you guys wait, here's some elevator music to pass time by. Oh. I believe he is here.
What up?
I am here with the legend of Arizona Post. How are you doing, pal?
Can you hear me, bub?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
All right.
How's it going?
It's going all right. You recording yet or no?
I actually recorded already. That's why it took me so long.
All right. So we are recording right now.
Well, yes, we are recording right now.
All right. Well, I'm ready when you are.
Anything you like to say to people before we start?
Um, no, I'm not coming back full time. For any of you AWC guys who expect that, no, BWB is not returning. It's not happening. Sorry. Hate to break your heart, Tyler. Still love you though.
Well, don't go breaking my heart. Why are you going to go breaking my heart, man? You actually got quite a few bit of questions from people that are not me, which is surprising because usually I always have to ask the questions. But you got 5 questions that are not for me. That's yeah, nice.
Well, I'll answer them.
Try answering them uncut the best you can. Just don't go on and start saying a bunch of curse words. I bet you won't. But yeah, let's get on with it. With our first question, who do you consider your biggest rival in EFID?
And e-fetting, man, Uh, my biggest rival in e-fetting. I got to go all the way back to like the start of, well, the end, somewhere towards the end of OWF to the start of EO. So that's when I come in. I come in like, about there. Um, I guess my biggest rival that I have faced, there's two of them. It's a tie. My biggest rival that I have faced is the Demon Desmond, otherwise known as Zach McKeag. Me and him, we go way back. For people who don't know in BTW, because we spend a lot of time on separate brands, me and Zach go way back. Our feud probably, I know it did. It escalated my career. It really kicked off the legacy of BWB and PoHC and who they became to be. And
yeah, because I remember when I was in EOW, the time that I spent in EOW, the first few weeks I was there, I saw that it was you versus Zach, and it was for the EOW Television Championship, and that was like the first match I watched in EOW.
It wasn't for the Television
And
Championship.
I was sitting here thinking, this guy is so stale. Like, I mean, he's trying to be dark. And I was talking about you. I'm like, he's trying to be dark, but there's something missing about him. Like, there's something that he's not doing that's not pulling the trigger with me.
Actually, yeah, I was stale at that time. Maybe, yeah, I was stale at that time because that was where PoHC really came in. BWB and PoHC are like, they're the same person, but they're different sides of the coin. I like to, a lot of people like to compare them to like Mankind and Cactus Jack. I really like to compare them to Two-Face. If you're a Batman fan, Two-Face. You got this, clean-cut guy who really, he was a real prim and proper guy. I'm talking about Harvey Dent. Well-respected, loved. That's the PoHC side. He's more of a wrestler type guy. He's a wrestler's wrestler. He's someone that goes in there and has a good time, puts on a show, and he entertains. Whereas when he puts on the mask, he becomes the other side. He becomes the sick, sadistic, the dark, the grungy style guy that's just all about hurting people. Never really cared about winning, losing. Yeah, I'm talking about BWB. That was the side that really, I don't know what the word is here. It really iconicized. You told me not to use big words, but that was the first one that came to mind, man. I'm sorry. That was what really set.
Okay, it's uncut. You use whatever you want.
That's what really set PoHC and BWB apart and made them unique from just the regular. Oh, it's just another dark type guy. It's another monster. We've seen so many of those unstoppable guys. No, he's a monster, but he's a monster who is also a human. He's two sides of the same coin.
Monsters are human.
That's what made him unique. That was what set him apart from everybody else, I feel like. And that's my biggest rival was Desmond, because Desmond really escalated me. He taught me everything I know. I credit him with a lot when it comes to promos. He really made me step my game up, and that was what really got me into e-fetting. I was kind of dabbling in it, and then he really drug me into it, and it was bad because at first I was scared to face Desmond. I was like, whoa, there's this guy who's writing these like 10-minute long promos, writing them, and just they're all so like awesome and fun to read, and he's undefeated, and there's so much of this that just came down on top of me, and I'm just like, whoa, what am I doing here? And then we jumped into it, and you saw, the rest is history from there. And to be honest, I wish there's a lot of people I wish could have seen that feud from the beginning of its entirety, because even now, that's my biggest feud. Now, there's another rival that I consider a rival, but I've never faced, and I would love to face him, and that is Cal Staines. Um, Cal Staines is the other guy that me, him, and Desmond, we all came up in E-Feding together. You know, Desmond was probably the most experienced of us at the time. EOW was mine and Cal's first legitimate E-Fed. And we all just kind of came up together. We're all really good promoters. Me starting out, as you know, I was not good. I was bad, and they were just awful promos, if you recall.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't god awful, but they weren't good. They were bad, but they weren't awful.
They were terrible. I don't even try to sit here and patronize me. They were awful when I started out.
Okay, they were pretty bad.
I'll go on and say it. They were just terrible. I remember my first promo. It was like 2 sentences. Something about blood in the ring or something like that. I can't even remember what I said. And looking at my promos now, it's just like, oh God, I started like that. And I really learned from those guys. But at the same time, we all got good together. That's as coming up together, we all learned together, we all got talented together. And there's this inner rivalry. It's like a circle. And within that circle, there's this rivalry where I want to do better than Cal and Desmond. Cal wants to do better than me and Desmond. Desmond wants to do better than me and Cal. And it's just like this revolving door. And that's what really brought the best out in all of us. And that is my biggest rival that I've never faced and would love to face. And you've heard it here from me. Those are my rivals, if you want to know. An honorable mention would be Frank Zamora, because he's helped me out a lot too. But it would be Cal and Desmond.
Cal and Desmond. Triple threat. That would be nice. I mean, we have Steve Crow and Cal in AWC and BWB, so I mean, I would do that match, but you know, BWB doesn't want to return, so well, you know.
Nah, man.
Okay, and then we have another question. So who do you consider your favorite person to play as during a video promo, and who do you consider your favorite person to play as when you're writing the promo?
Oh man, video promos, hands down. I'm not the best with this guy. For anybody who's seen me in BTW, he's never been in AWC, but it would be Sidney Wicked. And Sidney is he is a more psychotic character. He's like he's this kind of sadistic character. And, you know, if you ever seen me in BTW, you know who I'm talking about. What's fun about playing Sidney Wicked is, you know, and any of my other guys that I play, I can just stand in front of the camera, say what I got to say, and get done. Sidney is kind of unique where you can't do that if you want to capture the character of Sidney Wicked. He's like, you don't really have to, but it's fun to, like, have props. Like, my first video promo with Sidney, it was right after a match where I had my face burned, and well, that was in store. Had my face burned, so I went and grabbed this like this old towel, kind of cut it up, made it look so grungy, and put it over my face. Turned down the lights, and it was fun to do. It was entirely different than what I was used to doing. Written wise. I cut some pretty good promos as Poe HC, but my favorite written wise has to be Chris Banks, because he is just, like today I made one that no one has seen yet, and I hope to get that out there soon, but it was so fun. He's a funny type guy, but he's also serious. He's real charismatic.
Yeah, I know what you mean by him being like serious one. Because I mean, little truth be told, sometimes I do go down to BTW and I check up on some of the guys from ADQ and see how they're doing. I usually check out Todrick, and he's actually excellent. I'm that surprised at the work that he can do.
Todrick.
And then I see you, and it's like, huh?
You know, I'm doing well for myself, but when you mentioned Todrick, Todrick is someone that I never would have expected to do well in BTW, to be honest. I never thought he would do as good as he did. Because in EOW and here in AWC, he doesn't promo that much. He promos more now than he did in EOW way more. And he is just amazing at promos, and it's like one of those hidden talents. Like, if he'd have done that in EOW, he could have done so much more. That's someone that it's really cool seeing him do his promos now and just sitting back thinking, God, the things he could have done in EOW, the cool feuds he could have been in. Yeah, just mentioning Todrick, and then my promos. I have fun with my promos. So to answer that question, it would be written Chris Banks, video Sydney Wicked. Even though I'm not the best with Sydney, obviously.
As I was going back to what I was saying, I've seen you in BTW. I've seen Sydney's promo. I've seen, of course, BWB's. I've seen one Chris Banks promo, and then I've seen a few POHC. Now, my personal favorite, I'm always going to go with BWB because BWB originated back to the roots of OWF. I know BWB the longest, so I would go BWB. Now, of course, I'm not going to say BWB because that's so standard for me. But I would probably have to go with POHC. There's something about Poe that I just like. And it was mostly because of what you said in the beginning. It's like they're similar, but they have that same difference in them.
Well, yeah, POHC wasn't really in the beginning. POHC, he happened almost towards the end of EOWs when he really came out. And yeah, they are the same. Like I've explained already, they're the same person. So I can see where you get the similarities of BWB and POHC. Yeah. Next question.
We have another question. A few of these are AWC questions. Some guys actually ask some AWC questions.
Just ask them all, and I'll answer them if I can.
Answer what you can. I know what you mean. Who do you consider the top stars of AWC now that you're gone?
Top stars of AWC now that I'm gone. I've noticed Alex Avalos. I've always loved him. He's a good promoter. He's really entertaining, fun to watch. I noticed since I've left, he's really stepped up. Anarchist, the same. Anarchist always does good. He's always been solid. But he really stepped up since I've gone. They're really trying to put work in the whatever they've got going on. It's kind of fun to watch. Top star probably be Anarchist. He's done the best. He had a really good feud with DJ. And then there's guys like Curtis Strong walking around, DJ obviously, Cal whenever he gets up to actually cut a promo in AWC, Amari whenever he's not getting kicked out of AWC and he's actually contributing, there's Amari, Trevin has really stepped up over in BTW. I don't know really how he's done in AWC, but I know he's doing really well now. He's trying hard. So
that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing he's doing good in BTW.
He's doing really good. I reside over New Rising. I reside over the developmental where he is at currently, and if we got time later, I'll tell a story followed by an apology to Trevin. But he's doing really well, and I'm actually really proud of him to see how he stepped up, even his attitude. You know how he can be hot-headed at times. He likes to get into arguments over in BTW. He doesn't really have that much of a problem. He's really he's the last person I'd have expected to not have an attitude problem, but now he's doing really well.
Totally opposite when he's in AWC.
Yeah. But to be point blank and answer your question, top star is definitely Anarchist.
Anarchist. I totally agree with you there. Anarchist is probably above all one of my favorites in AWC as of right now. He just has the lengthy title ring. He's been holding on to that title since the beginning of January. And come Extreme Rules, I have a feeling he's going to drop it, but I really hope he holds on to it so he can break Curtis's record.
Yeah. And the thing about Anarchist that makes him like so good is he is like easy to work with. Um, I've done a couple of angles with him in our time together. He is just like he is awesome to work with. He's one of those guys that he doesn't demand anything. He goes with what the creative guy, the guy who's running it, gives him, and he plays on it.
He does, and that's what makes him so. Yeah, like you say, he's so easy to work with.
And at the same time, though, he's not a yes man. He doesn't just sit there and let someone tell him what he's going to do. He'll, as long as you can work with him in a good manner, as long as you can be courteous to him, he'll be courteous to you. Like if you bring him an idea and you don't say, okay, you're going to do this, instead saying, well, here's what we want you to do. He'll come back and instead of saying, no, I want to do this, he'll come and be like, well, how about we do it like this? And then it always ends up just like meeting in the middle. And that's one of like my favorite things about Anarchist.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. I actually don't know a time where me and him actually did. I don't even think we ever had an argument. And I don't think we
Yeah,
have.
it's ironic. His name is Anarchist, but he's like the most chill guy ever.
Exactly. He is. It's like he's not an anarchist because he's able to work with the boss, but then
Yeah,
he's.
nobody to work with, but he calls himself an Anarchist. It's this big like paradox.
I know it's a really big paradox. And then we have a next question here. Who has the brightest future out of all the new guys in AWC? I'm talking TRG Marvel, Christian Rainey, Taka Solir, all the new guys in AWC. Who do you think has the brightest future?
Brightest future. Um, Christian Rainey, and I say that because I don't really know the new guys all that well. I've seen them do like their character bios. I've seen them kind of just pitter patting around right now. They haven't really jumped in to do anything. Neither has Christian so far, but I have seen Christian's work in other feds. I know how talented he is. Plus, he's kind of like me in a way. He comes in with a lot of references, guys saying about how good he is, and they're not just yes men. They're guys like Curtis Strong, um, Dom, guys that talk about how good he is and say he's really talented. Guys you listen to, so I can see him doing really well in AWC.
Wow. Christian Rainey, yeah, I actually think that he's going to do very well in AWC, especially with the fact that he's in a fatal four-way at Extreme Rules for the X Division Championship. Christian Rainey and Anarchist, that's going to be an awesome. I think they have an awesome feud here. That would be an awesome feud.
Matt, by the way. Yeah, I'm going for Anarchist most definitely.
I feel like Anarchist is going to drop it for some reason. I don't want him to. I don't want him to. But for some reason, I feel like he's going to lose. Like, he's had all this luck. He's defended his title successfully every time. But
well, see, that's the thing, though. You call it luck. I don't call it luck. I call it he is just a good. He's talented. That's what I call it. It's not lucky.
Yeah, he is talented. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not luck. He's just a talented individual. Like that match he had with you, it was that 6-man match at the Royal Rumble, and it was you and him, and it will look like BWB was going to win until he pulled you down off the cage and climbed it. It was actually a very good match.
Well, he's known to pull rabbits out of his hat, man.
No, especially with the SOS coming in. Next question. What do you consider the biggest flaw in AWC? This is going to kill me. But yeah, someone asked the question. What do you consider the biggest flaw in AWC?
Hang on a minute, Bob. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's turn things off.
I will.
Pick things up and
All right.
make sure your back door's locked. There's no doors unlocked, okay?
I'm sorry, Bub. You're going to have to edit that one out. But what was the question again? I got kind of distracted with my grandmother.
It's okay. It's okay. Hold on 1 second. Just delete it. What do you consider to be the biggest flaw in AWC?
Biggest flaw. Um, my biggest flaw is that's that's a hard one. I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm perfect, but my biggest flaw has really been able to be established as somewhat of a winner. If you know BWB and you know Poetry, they're known to put on exciting matches that they went on to lose. It's kind of the running theme with them there. Um, Chris Banks, he hasn't had that kind of luck. He wins his majority of matches, but he still hasn't really been able to step up beyond that yet. Keep in mind, Sydney, same deal as Poetry and BWB. They've always kind of, he's always been known to put on good matches that he went on to lose. I guess that would be mine. It's kind of like when you lose so much, people wonder why you're losing. They start to not perceive you as a threat, which I avoided that pretty well. I tried to take that and roll with it about how I'm not in it to win matches, and I'm really not. I like, as long as I make the story good, I don't really care if I win or lose. But
You make it.
people start. Comes a time when people start to talk. It's like you see guys like, bless his heart, man, Dustin. People rag on Dustin because he lost a lot in the OW. They really ragged on him for it, and which was ironic because I lost more than he did. But I always kind of kept quiet about it until I figured out a way to just kind of play it into the character, and that was what I avoided. That's how I avoided people saying, "Oh, he's a loser. He's nothing more than the job, or he's not a threat." That was how I avoided that. But that is my flaw at the same time. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse because it helped me build the character that was BWB while still damaging the character. Because if you think about it, think about how much more devastating BWB would be if he had like an undefeated streak, or if he won his big matches, if he'd have beat Desmond and ended his streak, and what that could have went on and done. So it's kind of like a double standard. One way, if you look at it one way, it's a good thing for his character, and another way, it's a bad thing for him.
I actually like the fact that I feel like I should have. I actually like the fact that BWB actually lost all his main event, like, not main event, but like all his pay-per-view matches. It's just something
Ironically, a lot of people like to compare BWB to Mankind, Mick Foley, all of them. I do it as well, and my biggest thing that I compare to Mick Foley is if you look at Mick Foley's legacy, he lost a large amount of his matches as well, and that's where I drew the inspiration for BWB. I thought, well, if Mick Foley can make losing look cool, so can I, and that's where I went with that.
Yeah, and it's like always been the gist of your pay-per-view matches is that is BWB going to, not even the more so if he's going to lose, is he going to win? Like, the match with Undertaker, it was like, is BWB going to win against The Undertaker? I mean, in my mind, I'm saying I hope he does, and then it's like my heart's like, he's not going to win that match. That was a great match. I think it was very underrated. That should have been Match of the Year candidate, but it instead went to Anarchist versus DJK.
Oh, yeah. And DJK, like I said, Anarchist is a top star. He deserves that. So does DJK. But yeah, that I agree with you. That's his spectacle. It's like when you look at him in the Rumble, he didn't necessarily go in as a favorite. He didn't exactly go in as a favorite, but when he entered, he ended up eliminating the most participants out of everyone.
And he lasted the longest.
Yeah, and he lasted the longest. And then he went on in the elimination match, eliminated the most, and lasted the longest. But other than the winner, and it was like, you think he's gonna, you can't think he's gonna losing, and that's he's so good at making you think he's gonna win, and even if he wins, even if he does go on to win or lose, it's this whole awesome thing where you never know, even though he loses most of his matches, you never truly know until.
he always brings that excitement to his matches. Like he comes in, like you just said, he comes in and it makes it look like he's going to win. He won the Royal Rumble, wiped out just about everybody until Franco came out of nowhere and just eliminated him. I mean, that was just like I was so done at that point because I was rooting for BWB to win. I mean, Royal Rumble, that was BWB's pay per view. I don't care what anyone says. Eliminated about 10 people in total, if you want to count his match for the X Division title and Royal Rumble. He eliminated like 10 people. I mean, we're not going to count that, but he did. He lasted the longest in both matches. It's like that was his pay per view. But if you look at it, he lost both matches. It's like he just makes it look so good. And then his pay per view match with the Undertaker, he didn't even put in a signature or a finisher, but but he kicked out of 3 tombstones and two signatures. It's like this guy will not give up. I mean,
man,
it's like
pretty tough guy.
Pretty tough guy.
He's a pretty tough guy.
The next question is, what flaws do you see in AWC?
What do I see in AWC?
The flaws.
What flaws? The flaws I see in AWC, there's a few that really stick out. You know, I could sit here and nitpick at the little stuff. You know, like people not promoting. That's not even a little one. That's a big one. But a big flaw I see in AWC is like everyone seems to think that you do. I'll put it like this: you do your heel persona like super well, and it makes everyone think that you're against them. You know, if people know you like as long as me and DJK and Curtis and guys like that have, you know, I can go on and say this: you're not out to really screw anybody over. You have your moments where you may go a little bit overboard, and I will say that, but overall, you do your best to like entertain everybody, give everybody opportunities, and I've never really seen you out to really take out anybody. And everyone wants to think that you're against them, and it's really hard to work with people who think that you're doing your best to just take them out, and it's a curse. It kind of locks on, and it's hard to get across them that you're not. You know, I kind of dealt with that a little bit in IRW when I was writing. I had guys thinking that, you know, I was trying to do this to them and trying to hold them down, when in reality I was just trying to find a place to put them on. And as a writer and as an owner, you know, guy running EFED, I can look at it from that standpoint, and people are going to think that, and it's just kind of hard to work around that.
Yeah, it is. Like what you just said in IRW. When you're running IRW and people like, but it's the tendency that people find ways to make it seem like you're trying to screw them out of their opportunity, and it's just because you're the boss. Now, in my case, I've been heel just about all of my career. So you look at it this way, I'm basically out to screw everyone, and that's not the case. That's just my persona. And the thing is, I play it so well, and it lingers into, like, people think you linger into me, and that's just what happens. I play in Persona so much, people think that's absolutely me.
Yeah.
And then it comes to Shocker where people know that Tahir Williams is the real guy, and it's like, really? You guys didn't know that? Like, no. Tahir is my real name.
A lot of these kids, not really kids, but a lot of these E-Fetters now that show up, I wish they would have been around whenever all of us, when EOW was born, when we all walked out of OWF, I wish they would have been around then and seen, you know, how you were back then as opposed to how you are now, and they would understand that you're not in any way a bad dude. You're not out to really hurt anybody. You know what going too far is like.
Exactly.
You know,
I've been there when I went too far.
Consequences of going overboard. It causes everybody to walk out. And you know, you have changed a lot from OWF to now AWC, you have changed a lot from then. So, you know, if they'd have seen that side and then seen this side, they'd think, huh, Tyler Williams is actually not that bad of a guy.
Well, thanks for that, Bo. I try to tell people that all the time. Like, people think about the walkouts they have in the AWC. Like, when Cal attempted to walk out, when Jid walked out, people are like, this is the biggest walkout. I'm like, no. See, you don't know a big walkout. The biggest walkout that happened to me was the OW walkout. Because when Jid walked out, it was Jin, Matt, and Josh. When Cal walked out, he's left walk out with probably about half the roster, most of the other main guys. And OW left. Everyone left. Everyone left. It wasn't just a few people. Everyone left. So there was no roster for me to go by. At least in AWC, when half the roster left, I had half the roster. The only person that was there was Curtis, and he ended up going to ELW. So I didn't have anybody else left. And I just had to go to AWC, and I'm like, how am I going to get these people back? And it's like, I actually, when I made AWC, the plan wasn't to get you guys back. It was actually to make you guys jealous.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, I don't want to say it didn't work, but, you know, I don't think a lot of your guys now that aren't already running E-Feds, you know, guys like Dominic, myself, Curtis, guys who actually do run E-Feds, I think they can do it. But the guys, the EOW originals, when we walked out, it's like we knew how to run our Fed. We knew what we were going to do. We had a vision, and we executed it all the way up until it just kind of fell apart. Like, we knew what we were doing. I've seen a lot of people say they're going to walk out and go and form these groups and these Feds, and, you know, they don't last like a week. And it's like, I laugh at it. It's funny. It's because they don't know how to run these Feds. They don't know what us against the world is really like, because that's how it was in the OW. It was really the OW guys versus everybody else. And that was what really made it special. It's what made us all a family. We were so small. There weren't that many of us. We were struggling. And it still just made us closer, and that's why we still consider ourselves the EOW guys anywhere we go. It's like, if I'm gonna use Amari as an example because he's in a lot of Feds. If Amari goes to Fed A and does well there, and then say me and Cal go to that same Fed, it's like we've got a guy there, and it's, hey, it's our EOW guy. And it's the same in every other Fed that we go to. It's the EOW guys, and that's how we become known. It's kind of like a little bit of a clique in our own right, and it just helps us work together. It gets us through all these Feds, because it is really hard to get into a Fed, get established, and, you know, actually E-Fed and actually participate, because it was like that in BTW for me. I had trouble getting in at first whenever I started to branch out. And then whenever I got there, it really wasn't until the EOW guys started rolling in that I started to do well myself. And that's what makes it all special. These kids that go out and make their little E-Feds, they don't know what that's like, and it's crazy. I wish they would have been around whenever we walked out. I really do.
Yeah, you walked out and you had a vision. When I created OWF, I mean, I had my vision. And obviously that worked out because you guys walked out on the first show. I mean, when I say walk out, it was my fault. I pretty much have to say that it was my... I would say then, it's half my fault, and it's half, like, Douglas, LET, and Olivia's fault, because they walked down the show. They didn't talk to me like the whole night, and I got pissed about that, and I canceled the show. And the misconception about that was that I canceled the show for the week. People thought I canceled the show entirely, and that's why they walked out. It was mostly a misconception.
See,
like, I never canceled the whole show. I canceled the week for the week. And it was actually kind of selfish.
About OWF was everybody had a grudge against you at that time, except me. Really, everyone else, for whatever reason, they had their reason to be mad at you. I didn't, because I really wasn't around in OWF at that time. I had just got to the main roster. It's kind of like I went to the main roster and just kind of walked out the door with everybody. I didn't really know what was going on at the time. I still hadn't even got like fully set into the main roster. Hadn't even had a match, hardly, and it was crazy. I was the only one at the time who did not like just have a problem with you, and I was always the one who was like, why don't we all just work together, just kind of solve this? And you know, I I don't want to like take credit entirely for everybody getting back on good terms, because obviously we all had to make the crossover here and kind of come back and be friends again. And we all kind of had to come back together separately as people. You know, I didn't make everybody come back, but I do like to think that my lobbying saying he's not that bad of a guy, let's all just kind of work this out, try to keep level heads about it, and try to work together. I do like to think that that played a little bit of a part in everybody coming back to AWC.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Sorry, I had to move my like stuff around for a second. I definitely agree with you on that one. I mean, yes, what you said, like, I mean, I didn't know that you actually had to say, and like, not to say, but like, you convinced everyone to come to AWC. Because when I first made AWC, like I said, I made it so that way you guys would be jealous. I did not make it so that way you guys could join at first. I'm like, I'm gonna take these guys and show them what I can do, and show them what they can, because they can't do what I'm doing. And when I made AWC, I didn't intend for it to be V-Fed. I intended just to be for fun. Like, there weren't going to be any championships. There weren't going to be any, like, oh, you have to make a bio, oh, you have to promo, all this type of stuff. It was just like, hey, you come in, you watch a match, you go, and leave. That's all you have to do. But then all these other people started coming in. Like, Douglas, I think, was one of the first people that asked to be in it. And I'm just like, so you want to be in my Fed, but all of my roster's in your Fed, so how are we going to do this? And from there on, I think everyone else started to come in to AWC, and I'm just like, oh, this is pretty cool. And one of the first shows, people started promoing, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are you talking? You don't need to promo. I think I remember saying, like, you do not need to promo, but if you want to, you go right ahead. And it's like weeks later, promoing became a thing here. And then look, months later, it's not a thing anymore. No one wants to promo for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think a lot of people are just like nervous to promo. You know, they see guys like Curtis and Christian and Anarchist. They see guys that are really good promoters and just like they get into. And I'm talking about the new guys. I'm not talking about guys like, you know, DJK and Alex and guys like that. They don't really. I don't really want to say they don't care, but it's like if they win or lose, it doesn't really bother them. They'll promo if they can. If they can, it just kind of happens. But for the newer guys, it's hard for them to promo because they think they're just going to get outdone and it's going to be done and over with there. And, you know, that's kind of how it was with me at first. I didn't want to promo because I saw guys like Zach promoing, Cal, Curtis. I saw all these guys promoing, and I'm just like, you know, I don't want to do one promo and then someone just like kill me, and then all of a sudden I'm done. No more e-fitting for me. And I was really nervous at first, and then I just kind of jumped in, and it went from there.
Yeah. Hold on, I have one more question, and then you can talk about whatever after that. Okay. Actually, I have two. Is there anyone in particular you consider to be a problem for AWC?
A problem for AWC?
Anyone in particular?
Anyone in particular that's a problem for AWC? I will say the guys that try to walk out all the time and quit, those guys are a problem for AWC, because you see a bunch of guys walking out and coming back in, walking out, coming back in. Eventually that gets old and you start wondering what the heck's going on. I'm going to call his name out, and I hate to do this because he's got such a good attitude now, but whenever I first got to AWC, I really did not like Trevin because of his attitude problem. Like I said, he's really trying to get it into check now over in BTW. I'm hoping over here he tries to get it in check at some point, but he did cause problems at first because I know talking to Douglas, Douglas was the main one I always talked about it with, about how, wow, we can't believe he's got an attitude like that. I don't remember, but I believe at one time we made the joke that he was worse than CJ, and you know that's bad when you say something like that.
Yeah, I remember you guys doing that.
I do want to go ahead and say this now, just so he's not mad at me later. I don't consider him a problem, like, for me anymore. Today I noticed he got in a little bit of an argument with Oliver, and that kind of went down. So, obviously, he's still got his issues with some people here, but he's not been a problem for me. He's had a pretty good attitude towards me, and he's done really well, so I don't consider him as much a problem anymore, but at first him.
Yeah, he definitely got in a fight with Oliver. Yeah, and also a thing, people, mostly Trayvon and Curtis, going on saying that Oliver is me. And I'm going to say this one more time. I am not Oliver. That is a friend of mine from school who does not want people to know that he's a wrestling fan. I mean, in my city, in my town, wrestling is not in. I mean, especially being a teenager in high school, I mean, of course, wrestling's not going to be over in every single place. But he doesn't want people to know that he's a wrestling fan, so he made that account. He's been actually watching EWC for like 2 months now. He came in, he knows quite a bit of people in here, and then he comes in, and immediately, people are already saying that I'm him, and he's got pissed over that, and he's just freaked out. I actually had to kick him for a day. He's actually pretty mad at me right now, because I kicked him for a day. Because he was, like, getting very heated at Trayvon. I mean, Trayvon did start it, yes, but the guy was, like, flipping out on him. And I'm like, dude, chill out. And he wouldn't, so I had to kick him. I had to kick my own friend. And it's a really bad situation when I have to do that. And I hate to do it, but I had to.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, I don't really care if it is you or if it isn't you, if it's some sort of angle you're playing. It's like, why are people that worried about it? Why do you got to worry about it, even if it is you? Like, I've got a couple of fake accounts myself. I've got one in particular. It's my bank's account that I use solely for e-fetting. It's an alt account in case something happens on this one. I can still get into my e-feds. But it's like, you know, who cares that much? People set up fake accounts to e-fed all the time. I work with a lot of people who have fake accounts, and I know who they are in reality, but I know them through their fake accounts, and it's stupid. You know, a lot of people you'll e-fed with have fake accounts to separate from their actual real-life accounts, so it just doesn't get cluttered up. I know one guy with at least 10 different fake accounts. He's one of the owners in BTW. He's got multiple fake accounts, and it's just hilarious watching him go. Yeah. Next question. Or did you say there was one last question?
Yeah, there's one last question. And it is for actually both AWC and BTW. And it is, what could you consider your favorite match in AWC and BTW?
Favorite match in AWC is definitely the Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chamber was just awesome. I'm mad that you pinned me. I'm angry about that. I've expressed my discontent about that. BWB would definitely kick your ass in a rematch.
Oh, but trust me, I would never. If it was me booking it, I would not have won it. I did not want to win a match. That's why, at the end, I overturned it like really quickly and made it so like Cal actually took my spot. It's like I didn't want to win that match. I actually wanted to win.
I did get my revenge though. Whenever you know, I came out and cost you your match against Curtis, I got that revenge. So yeah, take that. BTW. Greatest match in BTW Does it have to be my match, or does it have to be a match in general?
It can be a match in general, but I would have preferred if it was your match.
All right, I'll do one for my match, then I'll do my legitimately favorite match. My favorite match of mine is probably, well, it's a really hard one. Sitting here thinking about it, my favorite match so far, it actually just happened recently, Sydney Wicked versus RJ Grimm, because with the new Chris Banks character that I run, I don't really get to do a lot of hardcore matches now like I used to do. I love hardcore. I consider it a style. It's my favorite style. And I love it. That was the whole character of BWB, was bringing hardcore back. So the fact that I got to do a hardcore match with Grimm, and not only did I get to do it, but I got to write it, and that was what was really fun about it. I got to work with Grimm. His actual name is Ralph, for those of you who don't know. We got to work together a little bit on that, and it was really fun writing it, and it turned out to be like an awesome match. It really brought back memories of whenever I was doing my hardcore thing in EOW when I was starting out. It really kind of brought back a lot of memories. Favorite match overall in BTW. That one is a little bit harder to think about. The match that really comes to mind is actually a woman's match. It was at the Grand Showcase. It's a tie between DJK and
Wait a minute,
Lord,
that's
I
a
can't
woman's
even.
match?
No, it wasn't a woman's match. It's a tie between the woman's match and I
I thought
believe
you
it
said
was
it's a
DJ.
woman's match. Oh, wait, DJK's a woman?
He is, but he doesn't talk about it a lot.
I knew it. I called it.
But seriously, I believe DJK faced, it was Bobby White in that match, and no, he faced. I really can't even remember who he faced, to be honest, but I remember he won, if I recall correctly. He won that match, and it was an awesome match. DJK in his first hardcore match that I'd ever seen, and I loved it because I've never seen DJK in a hardcore standpoint. And he's always been the corporate businessman. He owned EOW, evil, dastardly leader. Never really did a lot of matches, and I've never saw him in a hardcore standpoint. He's been really doing a hardcore run as of late, and it's just fun to watch him get thrown through glass and barbed wire and tables. It's just this awesome thing. But between that match and the women's match, I'll remember this one, and I'll never. It was a woman named Lucid. Her real name is Michelle. A wonderful person. It was Lucid versus Misbehavior versus Keisha Jenkins. And for people who aren't in BTW, they won't really know who those are. But for people who are in BTW, they know very well who those three women are.
Well, I heard of Lucid, but I don't know who they are.
They're all three wonderful people. I'm probably the closest to Lucid. I speak to her more than any of them. Lucid, no, it was Misbehavior that ended up winning that match, and I remember getting so angry because I wanted Keisha Jenkins to win that match like so badly. The whole throughout the match, I was sitting there chanting. I was literally chanting while reading it. Go Keisha, go Keisha. Doing the clap, Keisha Jenkins, clap, 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 clap. I was doing all that, and I remember when Misbehavior won, I was so angry about it. First thing I did in the comments, I commented on it. I was like, "This is wrong. Keisha should have won. Keisha should have won, damn it!" And I was just so mad, and it was like a 3-day tirade of just anger. But it was such a wonderful match to watch. There were so many good matches that night that told amazing stories, but that one really kind of stuck out to me because, you don't really see in actual wrestling, you don't see women getting a really big story. I've never really seen it. You know, I'm a big WWE and TNA fan in real life, and they don't really get as much of a story in real life. Done so well, and just put together an amazing story. It was just awesome. And that has to be my favorite match of all time.
Well, is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, there's the story I wanted to tell, the story and the apology. It is, again, about Trayvon. I've talked to him about him a lot. Whenever I took over in New Rising, the original plan for Trayvon was he was going to be put in a tag team with Miguel Roderick, and they were going to be called the They were going to be called Hollywood something, and I ended up going, and that was about the same time Josh Steinberg came in, and I remember Josh coming in, and he wanted an opportunity. I didn't really know where to put him. And then Trayvon, this was right before his real attitude change. He was just acting up, and it was really irking me. So I went to Tony, and when I took over, I was like, look, if we're about to push Trayvon, we don't need to push Trayvon because he's got such a bad attitude. He doesn't need to be pushed. He doesn't deserve it. So instead, we went with Miguel Roderick and Josh Steinberg as the Hollywood Assassins. For whatever reason, they weren't called the same tag team name that Miguel and Trayvon were going to be called, so that's why I can't think of their name. And again, I'm sorry. I apologize profusely for that because, ironically, around the time that we started pushing Miguel and Josh, Trayvon really stepped up, and then Miguel really got an attitude problem. So I'm sitting here holding my head thinking, oh my God, I pushed the guy with the attitude problem anyway. It really kind of irks us. But at the same time, Miguel, Josh, they're doing really well. Trayvon's really stepped up. He is actually he's in a storyline right now with he's a main roster guy. His name's Alex O'Hanley. He's in a storyline with him right now, and it's just doing really good. It's one of my favorite on New Rising. So while I feel bad that I took away that initial push that Trevin was going to get, I'm glad I did it because I love the story that Alex and Chambers are getting right now. It all really worked out in the end. And again, Trevin, watch this. I'm sorry for that. That was me who chose Josh over you. If I could take it back, I probably wouldn't because, like I said, you're doing it with Alex. But yeah, Trevin is probably. I'm extremely proud of Trevin for the way he stepped up, and that's pretty much all I've got to say right now. I'll take that.
Sign off.
I'm going to assert one more time, BWB is not returning, just so you know.
Don't make me cry, man. Don't make me cry. Here we go. I just have one side question to ask you. GTS is starting in 1 month. What are we going to see from the descendant of BWB, Hard Knocks?
I don't know, man. It's like BWB was always the character that was going to bring back hardcore. What was his character starting out was he wanted to bring back hardcore. He wanted to make it cool again. And in that storyline setting, it kind of changed everything that BWB worked for. It all just kind of went away. What you're going to see from Hard Knocks is he'll pay a lot of. You will see a lot of similarities to BWB, but you won't see BWB. You won't see POHC. You will see Hard Knocks. You won't see You know, you won't see the same guy, but you'll see enough that you'll think of BWB whenever this guy's doing his thing, and it's all just gonna. Hopefully, it's gonna go together well. I'm actually working on it like right now, kind of trying to get the image together, working him out. I'm hopefully. I don't want people to say, "Oh, this is just BWB," like, you know, however many years later this is. I don't want them looking at him and thinking, "Oh, this is just the same BWB and like a different guy's character." I want them to look at BWB and think, well, or look at Hard Knocks. Now I'm doing it now too. I want them to look at Hard Knocks and thinks, you know, this isn't BWB. This is his grandson. And you think of BWB, and anyone who's in EOW thinks of BWB, and it brings back a lot of memories of when he was really hot. And that's what my big goal is for Hard Knocks.
Well, thank you, Arizona Pope Hunicutt, for coming on Tyler Talks. And if you want to see Hard Knocks, you will only have to see them at Grand Titan Syndicate, which will be opening its doors in about a month, May 15th. It is basically centered around fighting. Huh?
And if you want to see BW, sorry, you will never see that again. Maybe
you just put your word in my face like that?
He might come around every now and again. Might make an appearance, say hello, see how everybody's doing. But if you want to see BWB in his original tirade, you'll have to go and rejoin AWC and go all the way back to the beginning and then watch it there, because we don't have an EOW network to watch. But if you do, I'm not supposed to advertise other feds, but if you do want to see Chris Banks,
let's do this one time.
If you want to see Chris Banks and Sydney Wickett, come to BTW. Don't abandon AWC just because we're pretty cool over there. We got a lot of fun talent over there. If you want to come over there and promo, yeah.
Well, thank you, Arizona, for coming on Tyler Talks. Next time on Tyler Talks, our special guest is going to be voting on AWC, and it's going to be between Amari Hall and Jin Kaji. So make sure you guys put up a vote of who you want to see on Tyler Talks. Should be going up maybe either tomorrow or Monday. It all depends. Make sure to tune in for Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night Turbo, and next week for Extreme Rules. Can't wait for that. And I will see you guys later. Peace out.